Hello everybody, it's Brenda. I am here today. I will be reading a couple chapters out of this book. It's called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. Simple ways to keep the little things from taking over your life. And it's by Richard Carlson, PhD. So I'll start with the introduction. Whenever we are dealing with bad news, a difficult person, or a disappointment of some kind, most of us get into certain habits of reacting to life, particularly adversity. They don't serve us very well. We overreact, we blow things out of proportion, we hold on too tightly, and focus on the negative aspects of life. When we are immobilized by little things, when we are irritated, annoyed, and easily bothered, it's overreactions. Don't don't only make us frustrated, but it's actually gets in the way of getting what we want. We lose sight of the bigger picture, focus on the negative, and annoy other people who might otherwise help us. In short, we live our lives as if they were one great big emergency. We often rush around looking busy trying to solve a problem, but in reality, we are often compounding them because everything seems like such a big deal. We end up spending our lives dealing with someone else's drama. After a while, we begin to believe that everything really is a big deal. We fail to recognize that the way to relate to our problems has a lot to do with how quickly and efficiently we solve the problem. As I hope you will soon discover when you learn the habit of responding to life with more ease, problems that seemed inforeseeable will begin to seem manageable, and even the biggest biggies, things that we are truly stressful, won't throw us off track as much as they once did. Happily, there is another way to relate to life, a softer, more graceful path that makes life seem easier and the people in it more compatible. The other way of living involves replacing old habits of reaction with new habits of perspective. These are habits these new habits enable us to have a richer, more satisfying life. I'd like to share a personal story that touched my heart and reinforced an important lesson, a story that just demonstrates the essential message of this book. As you will see, the events of this story planted the seed for the title of the book you're about to read. About a year ago, a foreign publisher contacted me and requested that I attempt to get an endorsement from a best-selling author Dr. Wayne Dwyer, for a foreign edition of my book, You Can Feel Good Again. I told them that while Dr. Dwyer had given me endorsement for the earlier book, I had no idea whether he would consider doing it again. I told them, however, I would try. As often the case in publishing world, I sent out my request but did not hear back. After some time had gone by, I come to the conclusion that Dr. Dwyer was either too busy or unwilling to write an endorsement. I honored this decision and let the publisher know that we wouldn't be able to use his name to promote this book. I considered the case closed. About 6 months later, however, I received a copy of a foreign edition, and to my surprise, right on the cover was the old endorsement for the earlier book from Dr. Dwyer. Despite my specific instructions to the contrary, the foreign publisher had used his earlier quote and transferred it to a new book. I was extremely upset and worried about the implications as well as the possible consequences. I called my literary agent, who immediately contacted the publisher and demanded that the books be taken off the shelves. In the meantime, I decided to write Dr. Dwyer an apology explaining the situation and all that was being done to rectify the problem. After a few weeks of wondering about what his response might be, I received a letter in the mail that said the following: Richard, there are two rules of living in harmony. Number one, don't sweat the small stuff. Number two, it's all small stuff. Let that quote stand. Love, Wayne. That was it. No lectures, no threats, no hard feelings, and no confrontation. Despite the obvious, unreal, use one of his very, famous names. He responded with grace and humility, no feathers ruffled. His response demonstrated the important concepts of going with the flow and learning to respond to life gracefully with ease. For more than a decade, I have worked with clients, helping them to approach life with in a more accepting way. Together, we deal with all types of issues: stress, relationship problems, work-related issues, addictions, and general frustrations. In this book, I will share with you a very specific strategies, things that you can start doing today that will help you respond to life more gracefully. The strategies you are going to read about are the ones that have proven themselves to be the most successful by clients and readers of mine. Over the years, they also represent the way I like to approach my own life, the path of least resistance. Each strategy is a simple yet powerful a greater perspective and more relaxed living. You'll find that many of life's more difficult challenges, when you don't sweat the small stuff, your life won't be perfect, but you will learn to accept what life has to offer with far less resistance. As we Zen philosophy, when you learn to let go of problems instead of resisting with all your might, your life will begin to flow. You will, as the Serenity Prayer suggests, change the things that can be changed, accept those that cannot, and have the wisdom to know the difference. I am confident that if you give those strategies a try, you will learn the two rules of harmony. 1, don't sweat the small stuff. 2, it's all small stuff. As you incorporate these ideas into your life, you will begin to create more peaceful and loving you. Often we allow ourselves to get all worked up about things that, upon closer examination, aren't really that big of a deal. We focus on little problems and concerns and blow them way out of proportion. A stranger, for example, might cut in front of you in traffic. Rather than let it go and go on with our day, we convince ourselves that we are justified in our anger. We play out an imaginary confrontation in our mind. Maybe many of us might even tell someone else about the incident later on rather than just simply let it go. Why not instead allow the driver to have his accident somewhere else? Try to have compassion for the person And remember how painful it is to be in such an enormous hurry. This way, you can maintain your own sense of well being and avoid taking other people's problems on personally. There are many similar small stuff examples that occur every day in our lives. Whether we had to wait in a line, listen to unfair criticism, or do the lion's share of work, it pays enormous dividends if we learn not to worry about little things. So many people spend so much of their energy sweating the small stuff that they completely lose touch with magic and the beauty of life. When you commit to working toward this goal, you will find that you will have far more energy to be kinder and gentler. I've yet to meet an absolute perfectionist whose life was filled with inner peace. They need the perfection and the desire for work, inner tranquility, conflict with each other. However, or whatever, we are attached to having something in a certain way better than it already is. We are almost by definition engaged in losing the battle rather than being content with and graceful for what we have. We are focused on what's wrong with something and our need to fix it. When we are zeroed in on what's wrong, it implies that we are dissatisfied and disconnected. Whatever it's related to, whether it's related to ourselves or disorganized closet, a scratch on the car, an imperfect accomplishment, a few pounds we'd like to lose, or someone else's imperfections, the way someone looks, behaves, or lives their life. The very act of focusing on imperfection pulls us away from our goal of being kind and gentle. This strategy has nothing to do with ceasing to do your very best, with being overly attached and focused on what's wrong with life. It's about realizing that while there's always a better way to do something, this doesn't mean that you can't enjoy and appreciate the way things already are. The solution here is to catch yourself when you fall into your old habits of insisting that things should be otherwise than what they are. Gently remind yourself that life is okay that way. Life is okay that way right now. In the absence of your judgment, everything will be fine. As you begin to eliminate your need for perfection in all areas, your life will begin to discover the perfection in life itself. So there you go. There are some good rules to live by. Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Thank you all for watching. Until next time.